Fortnite Season 2's theme and story is all coming together, from the real reason that the cube arrived to the final battle against the Nothing. What we've just found out answers a hell of a lot of questions. Now, if we're talking about next season, the Fox Clan is super important to mention, as their recent Rift event has some really interesting dialogue which suggests that their group needs to assist each other in a huge battle off in another reality. Who are the Fox Clan even fighting, and where is this happening? A member of the Fox Clan named V says that something was tracking them, something old and something bad. And the other term she uses to describe this enemy was they got everyone. Now, this enemy doesn't sound like a singular human being, it's either a group or it goes even deeper than that. V says, we always thought we were the ones that were trackers, but something is tracking us down now. Something old, something bad, as we mentioned earlier. Whoever gave you that Fox Clan mask made you a target. So, there's a single person who made Drift a target, and there's a collective entity that's behind it all. Alongside V's description of this entity being something old and something bad, I'm really convinced that this is actually the Nothing, and that's what's hunting them down. Some would argue that Condor's relation to cherry blossoms in Japanese culture, and also being a hunter of some sort, that he was the one that was after them, but even so, he has cube markings on his cosmetics, so the work of Condor could really just be the work of the Nothing itself, brainwashing him and getting into his head, as he did to both Bytes and Raz. To answer the question about the war, the battle that Fox Clan are needed in is likely against the Nothing, and it's taking place within the last reality itself. On that note, how did the Nothing even find the Fox Clan, and what does it want with them? In Chapter 1 Season 5, Drift was the first character we know of who was rifted onto the Fortnite island due to the plot of that season being worlds colliding. Now, he came from our Earth with no mask, no abilities, and now he was just a normal guy, still having fun, just a normal time on the Fortnite island that he had somehow ended up on. Whilst being on the island, he quickly built a good relationship with many characters, but especially the character Bright Bomber, and at that point, the Nothing was able to get into her head and convince her to do some horrible things to Drift. From the past of the Nothing and the last reality's dark convincing, we know that it can get into people's heads and it can call people and force them to do or explore things against their own will, like Bytes and even more so Raz with the Spire and how it called to him and made him corrupted and destroyed his life. And then you have the Shapeless Man, who I also believe to be the Nothing, and he haunts dreams with dark whispers, and very evidently, he's able to get into people's heads and manipulate their actions as he's done with Stellan, as well as the way that they think and feel. He can change it all. So, what if Bright Bomber's head was messed with in Season 5 when she was dating Drift, and why would that even matter? What would that cause? Let's think back to what V said. Whoever gave you that Fox Clan mask made you a target. Now, if we look at Season 5's story loading screens, we can see Drift and Bright Bomber are growing closer in the beginning as he arrives. Drift then receives the mask at some sort of party or celebration, and then very occasionally after that he takes it off until a later interaction with the cube itself. Whilst everyone is off having fun and messing around with the mysterious cube, Bright Bomber is looking into its evil, seeing a version of herself that she never wanted to become. The Nothing made her give Drift the mask. The Nothing made her gain his trust and trick him into taking the tracker. That way, the Nothing could have the location of the island at all times, as well as a better opportunity at looking into how Drift teleported across reality, as we know the Shapeless Man is very intrigued by inter-reality travel. Chapter 1 Season 5 began on the 12th of July 2018, and week 4 of that season was around a month later. The 12th of August to the 19th of August was when that would have happened. It was within that time period that Drift received the mask, as we see from that read's loading screens, and then 6 days later on the 24th of August, the cube spawned in from the rift. And how do you think it knew how to get to the island? Exactly. It got here through the tracker on Drift's masks. Now obviously none of this is confirmed just as of yet, but it does make a lot of sense, and it also explains Season 5 lore, the whole Dark Bomber reflection thing, but back to the Fox Clan. Now we have an explanation as to why the Fox Clan are fighting against the Nothing, why that entity is even interested in them, and where the fight is taking place. It's important to realize why they're on the island now, and what their involvement will be in next season. If you've played through Fortnite's Oathbound quest this season, you'll be following the narrative and you'll know that the Rift Gate's location was sabotaged and changed, and this was likely done by a character known as Amy.
The second that gate is online, I need to be ready to use it, to find him, before it's too late.
So Amy changed the location of the Rift Gate to go to the last reality where she could go in and save the scientists as well as the rest of the slightly corrupted 7, or fully corrupted, we don't know yet. The Fox Clan are also there fighting off the Nothing in that world, theoretically, and since the two worlds being the Fortnite map and the last reality are now connected through that gate, the Fox Clan got warped out of the last reality and onto the Fortnite island through that rift connection. Now I'm sure you've also heard about the Peace Syndicate appearing next season, but why is that? As we discussed earlier, the fight between the Fox Clan and the Nothing will likely be arriving to the island through the Rift Gate, and the Syndicate's job will be to keep the peace and stop the war. but I mean, realistically, they'll probably end up fighting too and having their own involvement and biases towards other sides, because they don't seem all that peaceful, and this is the Fortnite storyline, so of course it's going to be hectic and have some big twist. So, we've got to the backstory, the plot, the characters, and why they're all where they are. But what about the theme of that season? Why are we going from this to this? Well, first of all, this is Fortnite, the game that went from pirates to futuristic, from flooding to Marvel, and from primal to aliens. Like what? Sometimes at a first glance this stuff doesn't make any sense, so let me explain why the next season has a theme of Neo-Tokyo and how it goes from being medieval. Like, it does have some relevance. The Last Reality, which is currently linked to the Fortnite island through the Rift Gate, has elements of Japanese culture from the Fox clan being there, as well as cyber-like cities because of the alien race, and with the rest of the Last Reality like we saw in Chapter 2 Season 7, they look pretty futuristic. Since the two are battling within the one world, being the Fox Clan and the Last Reality, a combination of both cultures or themes are likely to flood through the Rift Gate, leaving us with a Neo-Tokyo setting for Season 2. It's a mix of the futuristic aliens and the Japanese theme of the Fox Clan, so there you go. Do you agree that Nothing is a shapeless man? Do you agree with my theory about Drift's mask, or do you even have some other unique ideas about next season's storyline? If you do, or you just want to share some thoughts on this video, make sure to drop it down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in Fortnite Mega.